chilly. Chilly, chilly, chilly. Which I like it cold. I mean, it's Christmas time. It should be cold. Today we actually got to look over some of the things on the farm. And really we've got to assess some of the animals. I'm going to tell you how we look at true sustainability. We also got to look at, I've got some fence down. Of course, trees took them out. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to actually have to fix those today. So let's go check out the animals. I will kind of tell you how we raise animals and why we raise the animals we raise. And then that will kind of tell you how we get to sustainability. The way we raise animals are for purpose. We don't actually have pets here. Everything has purpose. So, for instance, we were talking about the American guinea hog, how fat they are. Typically, we would have her on rotation breeding my male. Let's see if I can find him. He's out in this forest. Oh, there he is. He's laid against the hay bale. We'll see him in just a second. But the purpose of what we're doing is we're raising our lard and some more sausage and things like that through them. While they're ready, the whole purpose of what we do is this. We want food in the freezer. We want food getting close to freezer, and then we want new ones happening at the same time to prepare for the next set going to the freezer, and then also the mom and dad on farm, animal husbandry. We believe in that. So as we speak, we have just raised about 5 pig for last year, and we butchered those off. We're stocked full of pork in our refrigerator. At the same time, with our conventional hogs over here, we have got 5 growing up. 4 are actually cut males, meaning they are going to be butchered. We will butcher those probably around early spring. And 1 is a new female. Now, why do I have 1 new female with those? Well, because my 2 mama pigs are about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. My boar is about 5 or 6 years old. The females tend to not be able to last as long or be as old as some of the males. So we're already replacing a new female just in case something happens to one of my other females. This is one of my females actually right here. This is that American guinea hog big boar. Look at him. All he does is lay around. Now, why is this such a big deal? Because while we raised thousands of pounds of pork and we were able to smoke that, have our sausage, have our bacons, have our hams. What we're actually doing is we're now growing up the next set. This is the next set. I mean, they're ready for March and April to be processed. Now, we just put these mamas back with the boar. So now we're breeding them for the next set. So let's talk just pigs for a second. We have got freezers full, we're eating on. We've got the next set that is growing up that's very close to being processed as we start taking away from our freezers. As that is happening, we have new mamas that is delivering. We have older mamas that are delivering, that are doing the next set of pigs that we're needing for farm. At the same time, having the boar and female, the sows, on farm. That's important because now we have a whole circle of sustainability. Now, typically, we would have the same thing happening with this big guy right here. He would traditionally be with that female, or that female would be with him. We have not started them breeding back because with them we are raising our lard, and our lard has lasted a lot longer off the last set of pigs that we were able to harvest. So we don't want to have extra babies on the farm for no apparent reason. We also don't want to just feed animals just for the heck of it. So basically what we've done is said, okay, we're going to slow her down. We still have these 2 other lard hogs that we're fixing to process along with these that we just talked about. So we're going to have enough pork and enough lard for the coming future. So we will actually put them back on breeding. He'll be back with his sow, his buddy, his pal, his friend, his soulmate, probably around March or April. So he had about a 3 or 4 month extra window because we don't want to just feed animals for the heck of it. Now, if you notice, there's roosters in both the hog pens. Why do we have roosters and chickens in there? Well, because they serve no purpose in our hen house. We actually have, processed several roosters, but when you have a heritage breed rooster like we have, like those, which are egg layer roosters, they help breed in the next set of chickens we're going to have. So we have 1 or 2 roosters that stayed with the hen house. But the others, I don't want to necessarily just feed for the heck of it, so they forage in the woods. They fertilize the grounds. And also they don't hurt our hens. Now we thought about just taking them and processing them, but let's talk about what we just said. Why do I want to put more in the freezer when we're already stocked full of chicken, pork, and beef? So if I could take them and put them in, like for instance, these fields here that are not in the best shape, I can put those chickens in there. Those chickens will come around, they'll forage for their food, so I don't have to feed them. They're not dying because they have other animals usually with them. And they're also fertilizing our ground. So it's a perfect scenario. We're actually going over here to look at where this tree fell on the fence. This is what we got to fix. So that's why we have the roosters there. So now, what about the cows? What about other animals we have on the farm? The sheep. Everything has a purpose. So our cattle, the same thing. How they add to our farm, and how we're not just randomly feeding animals just because they're animals. You know, we love animals, but they have a purpose. If they don't have a purpose, we don't want them here. Look at this. Look, this is what we got fixed today. Look at this big tree. Our pine has cost us so much. I hate pine trees, especially when they're around other things. So this one fell. This was actually all pine just a few months ago. If you remember, if you watched our old vlogs, this is where we used to raise our sheep. And we just had tree after tree after tree dying. So we left some of the hardwoods that will now build legacy, but then we also have these trees here that we still left a few pine thinking they would be okay to keep, and they're not. They're actually falling across the line. So we actually got to fix that. We had cows out all down in those woods the last few days, and that was not fun to go get them. I actually had to leave my job to come deal with the farm, so that was not good. So we've got to fix that. We found that spot, and then we found one other spot. You see Big Red, that's the truck right there. Got a wreath on it. Misty wanted to decorate it for Christmas. We actually finished doing a job with it, and we hauled the stuff off, and Misty said, let's just put a wreath on it and let's put it out front. So we actually did, and everybody that comes in loves the truck. The truck is kind of nostalgic. It's fun to have around the farm. We actually thought about selling it because we're not using it as much. I hate for it just to sit up. But every time I think about it, I have to use it to do some kind of random chore, so we've just kept it. But I think it kind of looks cool coming in our driveway, having that random truck there. So, all right, we're getting over to where the other fence is broke, and we're actually, this is where the cows were. This morning I actually came up here. Cows are the craziest thing, man. I actually pulled up at about 5 a.m. this morning after I got done milking, and I started feeding them, and got them some new hay, new water, all that good stuff. So I came back to turn their water off about 30 minutes after I ran. I came back, and there was this random calf just standing right here in the road. I mean, you can see all where he was, and it's like, how did he get out? There's no holes in this fence. So I guess he jumped on this hay bale right there and got out. I don't know. This is one of our entrances. We call these the church fields because we have a church that's real close to us. So this is our church fields. Now this is just our dairy herd right here. That's our dairy mama that's weaning right there, and that is 2 of the babies that were mixed breed that we'll raise up as steers. That's exactly what they are. You look over there next to the bee apiary is our cows. In that herd there is a bull that is of course breeding mamas. Now we don't typically grow our herd too big because we don't have tons of acreage to feed them hay and feed them feed all year long. What did I tell you? We want to make sure that we're a sustainable farm, not something that costs a lot of money, or that we're not trying to just turn around and sell to everybody in the world. Now we do sell some, but not a lot. But those cattle are raising every generation of food that we're needing. Steers take about 2 years to really become the size that we're wanting to butcher, 18 months to 2 years, especially for grass feeding, and that's what we're doing. We're not doing them in stockyard style or putting them in a feed pen. So they typically take 18 months to 2 years. So as our beef is full in the refrigerator and full in the freezer, now we have one that is literally ready. He's been growing up for 2 years. He is beautiful. He's about 1,000 pounds, 1,100 pounds. But after that, our mamas dropped 2 more steer and 1 heifer. Those 2 are male, excuse me, and then we cut them and made them steers. So after that one was ready, we had 2 more growing up there around 6 months. Well, at the same time, we raised dairy herds, which is one of the mamas here, and then the Jerseys that you see all the time. These are the babies off them, which are about 12 to 16 months old. And they're small, they're dairy, so they're not going to provide these monster steaks, but what they're going to do is provide meat, ground beef. We do the same thing with them. The heifers will sell the steers we keep. And then we'll keep all our heifers that are purebred Hereford, which is the ones back here. Now the reason I'm telling you all that is this. there was times that I went without beef just because we didn't understand how to make sure that we never went without. We didn't understand how to rotate, how to have that circle going. So at the same time, while I'm letting my bull breed all the time, he stays with my herd all the time. I used to do like most people and just take my bull out. Well, my bull causes no problems. I'd rather take my heifers out, his babies basically out, than leave him and let him stay with the cows. Because then it allows me to have babies all throughout the year at different times, and that helps me with my progression. Instead of doing like typical farms where they put the bull in, let him breed all the mamas, and then pull him back out. That's great if you're a bigger operation, but if for me that's a sustainable farm, I don't need 15 different babies running around on the farm. I don't need all that meat at one time. I need mine spread out. So what I do is I put them in. I know there's 2 moms that always breed early spring. I know I have 2 moms that always breed late summer, and then I have one that breeds kind of random at the end of the year. What that does is it spreads my beef out to where as they grow, they're growing at a different progression, and it allows me to grow those steer up. And that's how we keep our beef full in the freezer. Now we've been able to process 2 this year, and that's pretty much kept us taken care of. So I've already told you we processed about 5 pig, about 2 American guinea hog, which is the lard hogs, the lard pigs, and then we process about 2 steer a year. That's a lot of food and a lot of meat, and it takes a lot of time to grow those animals up. But if we're doing it holistically and naturally and not costing me an arm and a leg, I have to learn to use the agriculture I have. So I'm using grass to do that. The hay they're eating is off a farm that we lease that has no chemicals on it, because I want to make sure that the land that we give them, the food that we're giving them, is the best quality possible. I need it cleaned out among trees so I can fence in that area and put my hog there. Yes, I feed my hog feed, which is a quality feed we've talked about before with Tucker Milling, but what they're also doing is I don't give them so much feed to where they won't forage. So the whole time they're foraging under that 3 to 5 acres. And then once we get ready to slaughter and process these, there's more land, and we'll put them on one side of it and let the other side regrow and let it get vegetation back so they can do it all over again. Now, that's all good. But it took me years to figure that out, because what we would do is have all this random food and all this random feed that we were having to feed all our cows in it. I was getting 2 or 3 steer at one time, and so I didn't need them, so I'd sell one. And then all of a sudden I'd come up short at the end of the year. So as you think about maybe doing something like this, make sure that you have a plan. Like our gardens, we typically grow gardens. I grow gardens all year long. And it may not be for the summer crops. It may be one season we're growing summer crops, one season I may be growing cover crops. Because those cover crops, then I can release the chickens and pig on in the garden, and they're going to fertilize the garden, and it feeds them. So sometimes it may not be about, well, I've got to plant this, plant this, plant this. Well, I'm too cold, I can't do that. If you're in a cold place, or you're in a place where you can't grow crops all year long, if it's cold, then learn how to grow cover crop, because that cover crop could help you actually mend your soil to make it better quality growing and cheaper growing, because you're not going to have to put a lot of fertilizer there. Or it could be growing crops, of course, for you or for your animals. Some of those roosters there. So let's get back up to our gardens. I want to show you something. This is what I mean. So this is actually some cover crop right here. Now this is actually greens and cover crop. So if you look at the different colors, right next to you is mustard greens. That's what I love eating. I'd rather eat mustard and collard than anything. Then right next to it, we have turnips. Then we have some clay peas or winter peas, which is a cover crop. And then we have some more collards over here. Now we plant this for 2 reasons. It holds the soil, because we tend to be very, very wet right here, and it kind of sloughs off, because you see it kind of dips to the lake. Well, what we've realized is this is some of our better growing areas over time. We've had to really take our time to build this up. But it stays wet, but it drains really good. Well, I don't want it to drain so good in the summer. So what I've done is we're trying to add and mend the soil on the top side to where it won't just go away and we start losing some of that good topsoil to the pond on those heavy rain days in spring we have in Mississippi. So what we've learned to do is we've learned to put fall gardens in. Yes, it will feed us, but ultimately what it's doing is actually holding our grounds here The erosion's not happening. We're not having to over-till all this, winter weeds. And then what we'll do is actually take our chicken mobiles. If you see the chicken mobiles, the rolling chicken mobiles, and we'll put them on this, and we will actually raise our next chicks on this garden spot. And then we'll take some of these roosters that I told you that we don't necessarily like to deal with. We'll put them here too. And what they're going to do is we're going to harvest what we want. Whatever we don't eat, this will be food for them. Then they're going to do their chicken scratching, their chicken eating, their fertilization, and they're going to break this down and naturally till that soil to where this will be ready for spring. Isn't it amazing how God creates these animals to work for us if we just learn how they work? We keep a rooster in our hen house. For what reason? Well, that's pretty easy, is that we're getting eggs, but eggs, a rooster does not have to be there to get eggs. You can get eggs anytime. But if we're wanting fertilized eggs, we have to have those roosters like that big guy right there. Because as these chickens get older, we've already placed these chickens. I've never went without chickens in about 12, 13, 14 years. We never really bought chickens because we just needed to. We may want to, incorporate another kind, but ultimately these were all raised on farm because we're raising eggs off those roosters that's providing us with new hens for the new year. So like these white ones, if you notice these white ones, these are our younger hens. Some of these older black ones here, they're slowly slowing down or either dying off because they're old. They're 5, 6, 7 years old. So that's why we've got the new hens now that are incorporated in there. Same progression like we talked about, a circle of how we grow regeneratively. Now Cornish cross, if you've watched our channel for a long time, you know Cornish cross are not our favorite. But that is the true broad-breasted white meat chicken that we're used to. We still grow those. I don't necessarily like growing those, but at the same time, that's why we still keep the roosters, we still keep the hens, because if we can't grow them, or we can't buy them from a hatchery to start growing them up to make chicken for the year, we can eat the heritage breed birds. They're just not as tasty or as good as we'd like compared to the Cornish cross. Here's those big tractors there. So why do we come out here and freeze and do all this? I mean, again, catching cows yesterday, they got out. It's hard. It's the fact of independence. We want independence. Our sheep, the same way. We're always, like for instance, we have one older male. I have another older male at my dad's place. So I have two rams. And then now we have new lambs growing up. We also have one that's a wether that we cut that he's ready to process too. The one standing right beside the big ram right there, that's a wether. He's actually ready to process. And so we will actually probably, closer to spring, we will actually probably go and process him. So as we start 2025, we're gonna be sitting with 4 hog, because we're not gonna kill the female. So 4 hog, which is gonna give us about 1,000 pounds worth of pork. We're going to start off with 2 lard hogs, which is going to give us about another 250 pounds of meat, and then about another 100 pounds of lard that we'll render down and can. And then we also have a wether that's growing up. We have 2 more little sheep that will get cut, lambs. We'll cut them and they'll be ready to be wethers to start growing up. We'll process the steer, which will be about 600 or 700 pounds of meat, and have 1 more growing up after it that will be ready in fall. It's taken a lot to get to that point, but that's how we start off 2025, being completely meat sustainable. That's not counting these chickens that we will harvest, and that will give us another set of, we got 40, you say roughly at 5 pounds, that's 200 pounds worth of chicken that we're gonna have. And so we're walking away with, a few thousand pounds worth of food starting just in January, February, and March. That's how we raise animals, and that's why we raise animals. If you get too many, you're overfeeding, and you're not actually able to cover your cost. If you're underfeeding, you're not raising animals correctly. So you need to make sure that you are putting them on good quality grass, you're putting on good quality vegetation, and you're raising them the right way. Not the way that that big business is doing now, but the right way. That's why you don't see a lot of these farms. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it. And we love being able to show people this. So we'll do tours and things like that. And we try to encourage people to start raising your own food again. If you can't raise cow, look, anybody can raise a garden. It's just so simple. break up your ground and have at it. Or build you some raised beds, have at it. If you get it 1% better every day, you're gonna do a whole lot better when you look back and say, you know what, I did raise that lettuce. I did raise those tomatoes. I did raise those chickens, our rabbits, and so forth. There's nothing better than raising our food and knowing, like this morning as we ate biscuits and sausage and honey and bacon and eggs, the only thing that we bought out of that whole meal was a little bit of flour, and we bought the best quality flour we can get, and we actually milled it ourselves. So we bought, wheat berries, milled it ourselves, had buttermilk biscuits that we made with the milk that we have, along with the bacon, sausage, and eggs that's produced here. There's nothing better than waking up to that. All right, so now let's get to some of these other chores we had to do. Sorry, I got on a soapbox, but that's why we raise our animals, and we're always looking at them because we want to make sure they're in progression. If they're not in progression, we've got to figure something out. We've got to start eating more of one other kind of process. We got to start eating more of our pork or eating more of our beef. So we establish our meal plan based on the food that we have. Like right now, our chicken is low. So we try to utilize chicken for times that we know we want chicken. Other than that, we have a surplus right now of beef, and we have two ready. We have one ready and one will be ready later on in the year. So right now we're just kind of saying, you know what, hey, let's eat beef tonight, let's eat red meat tonight, let's hold off on the chicken, because traditionally we would eat chicken tonight, but hey, let's wait because we need to get these raised up, and that way they'll be put in the freezer. So it's always learning our meal prepping based off the food that we have coming off the farm. Let's go. We gotta fix the fence and go pick up some stuff out of the barn. Egg harvest this morning. That's a good bit. Are y'all gonna help us? We gotta pull over by the barn and do some work by the barn first, okay?
Okay.
So we do have to actually cut and fix the fence, but before we do that, we actually have to clean up this barn area. We've got some extra fencing junk that's in the way of our feed, and then we also got to get these pallets and put this. We stack up extra pallets because we do that co-op I was telling you about. We keep extra pallets here for anybody that needs them, just to try to help them out with their own feed. So let's get these other pallets out of the way, and then we'll maneuver into trying to work on a few more things dealing with the fencing.
Do what? What do you want me to help with?
We're so busy that a lot of times we'll just put stuff around, and it just needs to be cleaned up. So that's what we're doing a little bit of today before we build the fence. Alright, Jennings, get that little chainsaw.
Hey, you want me to get?
The little one? And carry it to the back.
You want me to get?
So we try to get our stuff organized. And since we're fixing fence, these are old pieces that we've used, and that they were just too small to actually make a whole roll. So we use this to kind of fix stuff. So I got this that we're going to fix with. We'll take our fencing tools. This is 2 fencing tools to mend the fence. Throw this in the buckets too.
The different tools can you?
Yeah, for fixing the fence. Alright, first, I think what we're going to have to do is just basically take the chainsaw and break it and go ahead and get it where I can work with it on the tractor. So we'll cut it right there, and then just basically cut a few more lengths and be able to move it. Aiden's on his way, and of course the girls are here too. And if we can cut that, get that out of the way, then Aiden can start mending the fence while I start breaking down the wood. And then that way we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And that way this paddock will be back closed off. And then we'll go over to the other one on the other side. All right, let's get the chainsaw.
On the chainsaw?
No, I'm the only one that's gonna do chainsaw. You got it for me?
Yeah.
All right, bring it to me. Let's check it. Probably should have checked and see if it had enough gas in it before we left, actually. Alright, I'll push this one out of the way. Let's see kind of where we're at. So we can cut this.
Whoa.
Go ahead and step over so that way. That only one, we may have to tighten that one just one time. It may be okay. Especially once we pull this top, it may be okay. Aiden is like our professional fence mender, so he's going to be mending these fence. We got that out of the way. Also, my chainsaw. If you know anything about chainsaws, I love them because they get stuff done, but they're always tearing up. Yeah, Aiden, we do have some slack on that third one. Let's just see what it does. It may pull it tight enough to where it pulls that back straight where it won't affect it.
If we connect these, it's going to make these looser on the mat.
Yeah, we may have to tighten up at the source at one of these wood posts. Anyways, chainsaw broke and it put me where now I got to work on it before I cut all this up. And to be honest with you, I just told Aiden to remind me because I never come to this part of the farm unless there's a reason to come down in this bottom if we have animals here. So I may have to just not forget about this and come back and recut this.
You should have packed. You should have gotten more. Yeah,
Hey, are you gonna drive?
Huh?
Are you gonna drive? Are you locked in? You gave a seatbelt and you locked in? There you go. Now you can get out. Who did that? You or your brother?
Me.
You did that?
It's easy.
And just like that, we've got one fixed all the way down, pulled the tightness from that post. We'll come deal with this once I fix the chainsaw and get it back realigned and tightened. But that's done. That makes it where the cows can get in here because this is where they got out last time. So hopefully we won't run into that same issue. Hopefully we won't run into that same issue again. Now let's go fix the second fence. Is this one worse or not? Alright. Come on, Liv, you staying on there? Okay. Alright, so let's figure out what we got here. We don't show this part of the property too much. This is the very back side of our lake where we're actually at. You see all the goslings. I don't know if you can see all those goslings out there. But we had another pine fall across. I'm telling these pines are killing me. Yeah, but to a point like something you ain't seen in a while. It should be good.
What it
Here, I'm
normally
gonna pick
gets when we do stuff like this.
I'm gonna pick this up. If you'll pick that one up a little bit, slide it that way. Ready? Alright, now let's see where we're at. Take that little piece to Aiden.
That's the one.
Oh, that's the one I saw.
You were just right here. You did the
I know, I didn't see that one.
You did
Here.
this one.
Connect that one right there. Give it to brother. I knew there was one more, I just couldn't find it.
It was the one right above the
I
one.
know. I guess I just didn't pay attention. Jenny's got it though. Good job, Jen.
I told you just those two, and you did one of them.
Nathan said right here, I looked over there.
All right, done. So we've got those trees over on the other side of the property. All that's connected. So now this is where the cows are going next. So that's why it's so important to make sure we got this fence done. All right, guys. As I said, the cows are investment. They're worth a lot to us. The last thing I need is any of these animals getting out and causing problems like they did the other day. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying this journey with us. Please go down here and subscribe. Check out all the channels. Thank you guys. God bless.